I'd like to introduce myself to those new to me and to some of you who've watched some of my recent videos. I want to thank you. But I haven't really gone into depth about who I am and what I do. I am deeply intuitive. I am highly empathic, highly telepathic. And one of my greatest gifts that has been bestowed upon me, as well as opened up for me, is the gift and ability to not only tap into the universe and or God and or spirit around us, but I also have an ability to see into people's trauma. I can read energy very well, and so I've spent many years working with people on helping them overcome and work through many of their pain points, belief systems, pain, and trauma that they have experienced in this lifetime, particularly due to their childhood years, and how that's carrying on into their adulthood, as well as generational trauma and how that imprints us via DNA and how we need to work with those things as they come forward. I say all that to express, number one, the gratitude I feel to be able to help people, and number two, the importance of seeing ourselves, seeing our wounding, seeing our deep reflection and fear and pain that we are projecting onto others most days of our lives until we become aware of what those pain points are. And this is some of the most important work we can do as humans, because as you know, so much of the evil and negative that goes on in the world comes as a result of fear and power imbalances. And so taking a look at these things starts with each one of us. And I can speak to myself and the healing work that I've done and uncovered. And some of the things that have been really crucial and some of the most important work I've done in my life to heal is particularly around attachment, codependency, people-pleasing, overgiving, minimizing oneself. So people who have grown up in a system or household that learned that they had to keep themselves small to get their needs met, grow into adults who attract partners who typically are greater takers and will feel the sense of smallness from you, sense of overgiving, and will naturally feel and want that because they grew up in households where they went the opposite direction, but from the same wounding. And you typically hear things like empath narcissist, right? Codependent narcissist. If we're taking away those words, we're left with the wounding in which these things are created by, right? And these are just words we put on them. And of course, there's a spectrum. We all project these things in different ways and carry them out in different ways in our relationships. But this particular work around our mother-father wounds, around our attachment and the lack thereof, not having proper attunement from our parents in childhood, creates such deep wounding in one's psyche and self. And you see that just throughout society when you feel such a low sense of self-worth. And I do one of two things, right? You either minimize yourself or you decide I have to take from other people in order to get my needs met. And that means I'm going to do so without feeling the consequences or allowing my heart to feel. And that obviously typically happens because the pain you felt in childhood had to get split from you and or disassociated from in order to carry out and get your needs met in a more outward way, right? Learning that outside of yourself is how you're going to get your needs met. Both codependent narcissism, or if you want to go empath, however you want to look at it, it's still both trying to get their needs met outside of themselves. And so this is some of the greatest work that I've learned in my life, that I've been working on healing for a long time and in the midst of finally mastering that in my life via ending a relationship that has been very painful, but has taught me so much and allowed me to finally come fully into my power. And so typically I find this throughout society. Just this last week, I live south of LA, in a county south of LA, and I was up in LA with my daughter, and she's a model, so she's been doing some photo shoots up there. And I had 3 different divine appointments where I ran into someone or someone walked up to me, and when we got to talking, I had this beautiful exchange where I was able to tap in and kind of show someone either number one, where some of their wounding was, and number two, help them to believe and trust in themselves, to go out and be that force for good that they already want to be, but struggle to believe their worth. And so I share all that to just share a little bit about my heart and what I do and what's important to me in looking at oneself and knowing some of the things that we really need to be acutely aware of that we have to work on. And with all that said, before I started this video, I sat in communion with Spirit, and I wanted to share a message with you. I'm going to go ahead and let them come through now as well. But I do want to share some that they gave me to share with you. And that is that the coming months, particularly July to August, we're in a very important paradigm where it's a crucial time where we need to, and I've talked about this in a previous video, but they're bringing it up again, particularly around these 2 months, next month and August, that we need to start making either further firm decisions on which direction we're going to go between the path of sovereignty or the path fear, control, and ultimate slavery. We're really going to talk forward about it and be just real honest about it. And that, so I asked her, I said, well, so what is the real tangible 3D applications of this? You know, if you're going to tell people they need to choose to pass, and that it's a very important timeline shift that's happening right now, what does that look like? And so what they said to me was, those of you that are feeling the call to end relationships that you know aren't serving you, but you feel afraid, really important time right now that you follow the prompts of your soul and you do that. These coming 2 months are going to be crucial energetically for what timeline you are on. The second thing, jobs. Careers and jobs that are draining you. You have hardly anything left. You know you can't be there anymore, but you're afraid to make the shifts. Those are things that need to end. So if you don't already have an established practice to tune in to your inner self, if you, whether it's God you believe in, angels, spirit, universe, you know it all exists, start to commune. Remember the kingdom is within you, and that all of this is available to each of us. We can get information in all the 5 psychic senses, and we can talk about that in another video, but we all have access to that. God gave that to us for a reason. And those of us, or those people who want control over us, have made that out to be witchcraft and negative in order to control the populace. Again, another video. However, spend time communing with yourself on what the next steps and path are available for you. Because the greatest information you'll ever get on what's right for you is within you. You can go to anyone outside of you and sure, we can lead you and help you on your path. But you choosing it is far more empowering, and you have access to it for free at any time. You just have to start being self-disciplined and tune into it, okay? So jobs, relationships. Another one, and I've spoken about this before, is if you are feeling the call or have had a dream or have had an intuitive nudge or getting a sign outside of yourself of a city over and over again through a song or a billboard or a team you're on or any which ways that it comes, there's a reason, ooh, my ear's ringing. There's a reason that's coming. They're really doubling down on this right now. There's a reason that's coming through for you. It's because you're being led there. I too have been being called elsewhere and am planning to move out of state across the country. Why? Because I'm being told to go somewhere that my soul is being placed in for the contract I've made for what's coming, to be on the sovereign path of self-sustainability and working with others when things begin to get more difficult in the coming years. And we all hear about it, right? The 2030 or 2026, 2027, whether it's astrologically or you hear this from people who channel spirit, or you just even see what they're putting out there via the government or Agenda 2030, things like that. There are things shifting. Many things are obviously happening. We can see all that between war and breakdown in government and disclosure and all these things that are occurring. Whether it's a distraction, that's another conversation. Some of it is. But most of the distraction happens because they don't want you or I to be in our power, to know what we're capable of, and to create these paths that we do not need outside sources to save us. And does that mean a lot of systems are going to break down? Yeah, they are. And many, many, many sages and prophets and people who channel spirit as well as myself have seen this. It's coming. NDEs, OBEers, all the above. Now, is it completely set in stone how it looks? Obviously not. We all understand that we can tap into timelines, but free will plays a role in this. But me speaking this to you on YouTube, and those of you this reaches, it's going to reach you because you already have these inklings. You already have ideas, but you haven't made the steps or taken the steps to do any of it. And Spirit came in and said, those of you that this is reaching, know, and it's getting validated in you right now, that this is supposed to happen for you and you need to start now. Okay? So let's go ahead and tune in, and I'm going to see if Spirit, if there's anything else I want to share with you. I'm going to go ahead and bring that through. They said we bring these messages through as a beacon of love to point the way for you to find your way on the path that you predetermined for this lifetime would occur at this time. You can choose otherwise, but your soul wants and agreed to particular experiences. These experiences will be meaningful and bring you joy, as well as pain. But it is the contract that you want to carry out. So we ask you now to tune in and feel into this information. And if your heart feels a resonant yes, we ask you to act on it sooner rather than later for your own well-being and safety. And it's not to say your soul's unsafe. It's to say we and you are guiding yourself to the next experiences that you want to carry out. And this is so. Okay, until next time. So I hope that reaches you today in a way that lands here. And if it does, and it helps you make those decisions, then we've done our job.